Getting everything situated. Coffee's ready. Need a grip. Need a grip for the show to get the tripod ready. Not really. All right, and here we go. Good morning, everybody. Welcome. Today is Monday. It's January 11th, 2021. My name is Jeremy, and this is my first cup of coffee. I can't tell if this is a good cup of coffee or not. Let me try again. I think so. I know that sounds weird, right? It tastes like it might be weak, but it's not. I don't know, there's something... It tastes like somebody made the coffee and then watered it down. It doesn't taste that way. It feels that way, like the texture of the coffee, which is weird. It's a liquid. I don't know. Maybe it's just that it's morning and I'm still waking up. Now, if you're watching, you can see that I'm very hairy. My neck, my face. I did not shave. I was going to shave yesterday, but I woke up to some leaky pipes, so the water is off. Plumber was hoping to come yesterday. Plumber's a friend, a neighbor. But of course, he was dealing with his hot water heater being out. And so I said, you know what? Obviously, you got to take care of your stuff before you take care of my stuff. That would be weird if not. So you deal with your hot water heater. He said, okay. And I said, can I help? He said, I don't think so. And I said, if I can hit it with a stick or make a web page for it, I can help. And he laughed and he said, no, I don't think I need either of those. I said, all right, then hopefully I'll see you tomorrow. So fingers crossed, I'll see him this evening. But this is one of those times, you know, it's kind of like camping in the house. It's not ideal, but it's one of those times I'm really thankful that I have a simple lifestyle and I prepare for things. For example, I've got a few containers of water all ready to go at any given time. And one of them is sitting on a table, propped up on a couple of wooden blocks, and I can put water in the toilet. Because you know what? It's really easy to deal without running water when you have water and you have a toilet. You take away the toilet, I'm gonna struggle. But I got the toilet, I got the water, I'm doing fine. What it does mean though is I'm not gonna do things like shave because it's just annoying. It's a pain in the butt. I could, I'm just not gonna do it. If it was gonna be more than, you know, a day, if he's not able to come fix it today, yeah, I'm probably gonna shave tonight using water and bowls. But that's fine, no big deal. Now what about the rest of the weekend? Saturday was one of those crazy productive days. I don't know if you ever have those where you're like, all right, here's all the stuff I'm gonna do today, and you just crush it. I bought new aerator for the sink and installed a new sprayer hose, which is kind of what led to the leak. Not because I did anything wrong, but because some of those pipes in this house are so old that turning the water off and on, that was all it took. But the sprayer works, and the aerator works. What else did I do? Bought new lock pins for my snow blower. Like I was all over the place. Bought food. Maybe this is a sign of getting older, but here's something I'm doing now. So we have three main grocery stores in our area, two really that compete with each other. Hannaford, I like you, but you're too far away. I'm not driving 20 minutes each way, closer to 30 minutes each way to save a couple bucks. But the other two, Shaw's and Price Chopper, they do these like deals, and they're mailing them to the house now. And some of them are like really crazy. And of course, they're loss leaders. They're to get you in the door, so you buy other stuff. I don't. I just go in and buy those things, and I go to the other one and buy those things, and then I go to Costco. So I'm ending up with all this like food that honestly I don't eat much of, if at all. So I just put it in bins. Maybe I'll give it to the food shelf. Somebody's house burns down, I'll give them some food, that kind of stuff. Keep it piled up. It's fun. I'm making a game out of it. Yesterday, where did we get editing wise? I am halfway into what I'm going to call voice editing the book, the novel. I'm reading it and finding the things that exposes. A couple plot points I got to go back and resolve once I'm done, which I knew was important. I was expecting that was going to require 2 pass-throughs, but I'm able to do both at the same time, which is good because I want to be done with this so I can pass it on to somebody else. So we'll see. We'll see. It's been interesting, and you know what's really interesting about it is it's something that a lot of people are asking me about. I'm getting a lot of questions about the novel, more than, excuse me, good morning, Stacy, more than pretty much anything else that I do. And that gives me hope that this will be more broadly appealing beyond simply martial artists. So, fingers crossed. I'm going to sell a novel with lots of fighting. Maybe not lots of fighting, but plenty of fighting. Oh, there goes the garbage truck. It's cold out. It's like 7 degrees. I was not expecting that. Had the stove cranked last night. It was like 77 in the middle of the house. It was warm. Actually, it was a little bit too warm. I had a little bit of trouble falling asleep because it was so warm. What else did I do? I didn't leave the house yesterday because of the pipes, because I thought until probably 3 o'clock that the plumber might be coming. Then he called. But I cleaned stuff up, I organized. I actually did the dishes. Not really well, but I did them. The stuff that wasn't too caked with cheese and whatever. I baked. So here's a thing. I think it was for Christmas Day. The neighbors gave me a big thing of mac and cheese and some banana bread that they made, both were awesome. And I was really appreciative, really thankful. And then I washed out the container and was going to give back to them, and remembered something that one of the grandmotherly figures of my childhood probably told me this: never give somebody's dish back empty. And I went, oh. But there's some dietary restrictions. The mom doesn't do gluten or dairy. And I went, oh, that's kind of killing all the things that I cook, that I'm good at. And I wasn't going to do anything with fish because who wants to reheat fish? Right? Yeah. And it took me a couple weeks to think of what to make, and then I remembered, you know what? I used to make these coconut flour muffins that were pretty good. So I made some of those. Got 10 out of 12 into the container. They haven't been home, but I will bring those over because they're pretty tasty. Mostly because there's half a cup of honey in a dozen muffins. But they are gluten and dairy free. Coconut flour is really interesting. Coconut in general is interesting. From the coconut, you can make coconut flour and coconut oil and coconut sugar. Like, you can just like smush different parts of the coconut together and make something tasty, and that's weird to me. Good morning, Nathan. And so what that leaves us today. Well, we should have an episode out. Let's see where it is. I got confirmation on Friday that every episode, oh, and Stacy says coconut water, right. Every episode of Martial Arts Radio that is up should have the player on the website. There may still be a few episodes that need to get put back up or put up for the first time, but we're chipping away, we're getting there. And it is my hope that the website will end up being even better than the last one. So for those of you who, maybe you're bored today and you say, hey, I got 5 minutes. Jeremy's a nice guy. maybe I'll go poke around the martial arts radio website, whistlekickmartialartsradio.com, and see what's over there that maybe could use some improvement. Maybe you can find some. Don't look for typos in the transcripts. They're all over the place. Okay. Um, they're loose transcripts. They're not meant to be perfect. So forget about the transcripts. But if you find like real like things, like real errors, things that are broken, or even more importantly, things that you'd like to see over there, what could we add? Like one of the things that is not there that used to be there, the sorting by categories and tags. I don't know how we're doing that. I don't know. We might not be doing that anymore because the feedback I got was that we didn't have a lot of people using those functions. So, but take a look if you got some feedback for me. Jeremy at whistlekick.com. Today's episode does not appear to be out yet. Okay. Now we know. Nope, don't close that. Silly YouTube. There we go. Anything else? Anything else happened this weekend? Watch some TV. Did I watch any movies worth watching? 30 minutes or less was okay. It felt like I like Jesse Eisenberg, but I feel like he doesn't have a lot of acting range. I felt like a lot of what I was watching reminded me very much of Zombieland, which is not a horrible thing because it's a great movie, but his range. What else? Watch TV, made a fire, messed around with plants. I trimmed the palms, trimmed the dead leaves off the palms. Rearranged some things. Talked to the carpenter yesterday. Oh yeah, we've got time planned next month, about a month from now. He'll be here. We'll be able to knock some of these projects out. So yay, I'm excited. I think that's it. Let's see what's going on here. I know Frank gave me some stuff. Anybody else? Do not see anything from anyone else. I would love to see more from the rest of you. Frank carries the weight of this show on his shoulders, and I appreciate that. But those of you who watch and listen, it's okay to help him out. Ooh, I am dehydrated. I can feel it. This is one of the downsides to not having running water, is I don't drink nearly enough. I mean, I have water. I have plenty of water. I don't want everybody to think like I'm dying here. It's just less convenient, so I just don't do it. Normally, I would have a couple cups of tea during the day, and I didn't. And instead, I drank whiskey with dinner. Oops. Oh, and I went to the gym on Saturday. That's what capped it off. I ended up having dinner at like 9:30. I don't remember what I made, but I had a great workout, and it was funny. It was like I was the old guy at the gym. At 41. I've become the old guy at the gym. There were a couple teenagers and a guy in his mid-20s, and it's fun. We can have some interesting multi-generational conversations, and I can share some of the things that I know in a funny, in an unexpected context. I enjoyed that. Today, Monday, January 11th, 2021, is Heritage Treasures Day. What are some of the interesting heritage sites or museums in Vermont? Vermont's an interesting place historically. We had two presidents born here. Coolidge and I don't remember the other one. Stacy is a Vermonter. She may jump in. Excuse me. Ethan Allen is from here. Relevant in the Revolutionary War. See, I don't know Vermont history. I know Maine history better because I grew up in Maine. And when do you learn all that stuff? When you're a kid. Joseph Smith, founder of the Mormon faith, is from Vermont. And some of the coolest Christmas light displays I've ever seen are at the Joseph Smith birthplace. It's about 45 minutes away from where I live. What else we got? We've got Lake Champlain, which is gross, and at a point in time was so gross, it was temporarily designated one of the Great Lakes. So there was access to federal funding to clean it up. It is no longer a Great Lake because it was never a Great Lake. But if you look on a map, there's a map. If you look on a map, here, it's show and tell today, right? Where are we? This is really hard to do. Great Lakes, and then you've got Champlain, right? It's little, but you can see it's kind of like the same geographic function. What's the word I'm looking for? The same geological effects created Champlain as well as the rest of the Great Lakes. What else is going on? We have, none of these are heritage sites, but I'm just going to tell you Vermont things that I know. Last I knew, we had the most microbreweries per capita. We have 630,000 people in the whole state, and like half of them make beer, which is awesome. We do have some museums. They're not great museums. We have a science museum that's okay. We have a planetarium with a museum attached to it that I went to for the first time a few months ago. I didn't go to the planetarium, that part was closed. But the museum, the Fairbanks Museum, was a guy's personal collection that he made a museum out of when he died. So it's not huge, but if you think of it in terms of this guy collected all this stuff, it's really neat. And what was fascinating was it doesn't look like anybody's done any work on identifying some of the old pieces in the collection since he donated them. Because there was, for example, there was a sword. I knew more about the sword than the card laying down there. It was a sword from Toledo, Spain. I could see right in the filigree, it said Toledo. And it just said, sword. Toledo's a famous town in Spain that is known for making swords. I have one, two, I don't know, counting the really small pieces, I think I have like 7 or 8. They're all really old. I don't think any of them are in great shape, but cool stuff. Yeah, Vermont is interesting, and I'm freely admitting I don't know a ton about Vermont. So maybe this will be a driver for me to learn more. Maybe I'll find like a Vermont history lesson. We have a great show from our public radio station called Brave Little State. And if you want to learn anything about Vermont, that's a really interesting podcast. They release it on the air, but they publish it as a podcast too. And they go into things like road names and yeah, it's been they've done some more political episodes of late, which are less appealing to me, but some cool stuff. Do I ever watch any of Matt Easton's stuff about swords? I don't. That comes in from Andrew there. I don't know who Matt Easton is. I find swords really fascinating. Would like to learn more about them, but it becomes one of those time things. I want to learn more about everything. This is the problem with being a nerd. Martial arts nerdiness really knows no bounds. He's on YouTube, can recommend. Okay, cool, thank you. What I think I find most interesting about not just swords, but blades in general, is how varied they are. I carry a pocket knife. Sometimes I carry more than one. And different knives have different uses. Like for Christmas, my brother gave me the Columbia River knife and tool Pilar, which is a really interesting shaped blade. It's heavier than the knives I usually carry, but it's been a lot of fun. I will probably go back from that to the Kershaw Leek, half serrated, which was a gift from myself a year or two ago. That I think is the perfect pocket knife. But if you look at different functions, different materials, different times in history, you see different blades. And even within the martial arts, you look at the bladed weapons that we have within Japanese traditions and Chinese traditions and Filipino traditions, historical European martial arts. You see there's so many different types of blades based on usage, armor, material availability, and I think that's really neat. You can learn a lot about the time. You know, when I first learned that there were different kinds of swords, back in the 80s, maybe, I think it was late 80s, there was a game called Pirates by Sid Meier, who would go on to create the game Civilization. Pirates, to my knowledge, was the first game he ever put together. There was a reboot of it, essentially just same graphics, or new graphics, but same game, on the Wii, which I played the heck out of back in the day. It was so much fun. And there's a combat aspect, captain versus captain, to decide who wins. And you can choose from a cutlass, a rapier, or a longsword. That's when I first knew there were different kinds of swords. Are there any heritage sites on your bucket list that you haven't yet seen? Yes. So I believe the Galapagos Islands are a UNESCO World Heritage Site. I've been there. That was, absolute top of my bucket list. I'm so glad I went. If you have any interest in going, go soon. Go soon. Regardless of why or how, put that aside. The climate there is changing, and it is a very sensitive area, and it is going to have a dramatic shift. So just be aware of that if that's on your list. I would like to go to Machu Picchu as much as it's become cliche for people. I would love to check out I'd like to go to Egypt, check out the pyramids. Most of what I want to see is not man-made. It's natural. So, like, I'd love to go to Australia and get out into the desert and check that out, because that's an environment I've never been to. Antarctica doesn't really interest me, but northern Canada does. There's a town like right up at the Arctic Circle that pretty much all it is a government seat for the province. And I want to say it's like 80,000 people, and that's really interesting to me. Why people would choose to live up there? Yeah, that's man-made, but there's a natural component there. And so when I look at the world and my relationship to the world, that's what fascinates me. I've been to the Grand Canyon. It was powerful. No photo will ever do it justice. I'd like to go to Yosemite. I'd like to see Old Faithful, the geyser. What else? What else is on my list? I'm looking. There's my map. My world map is right there. I'd like to go to Okinawa. But that's, well, you know why, right? Iceland. Easter Island would be cool to go to, because it feels like we're on the verge of figuring out what they were doing and why. So that's kind of neat. Yeah. What's next? Nope, that's a camera. We don't need a camera. I don't need to take a picture of my coffee. Have you been to any heritage sites that have left an impression on you? I answered that. Galapagos. I spent 12 days there in 2013, and it did change my life. Galapagos didn't so much change my life. The way I did the trip. It's the first time I ever did something like that on my own. I did not plan. Some of you have probably heard this story, but for those of you who haven't, I will say it again. You can't get from New England to the Galapagos Islands in one day. So you got to stay on the mainland. So I booked my flights down and back. I booked my flight on the mainland on either side. And I booked my flight from the mainland to the islands and back. And then my first 2 nights there and my last night there. And that left 9 nights on the island, or islands, with no plans. Not even a place to stay. I said, you know what? Worst case, I'll sleep on a bench. There's very little crime there. I'm not worried. So I got there. And what would I do each time? Or I got there day 1, got acclimated. Day 2, went online with their terrible internet, which was basically a little bit better than dial-up. Found another hotel on another island. Booked a water shuttle seat. Went there for 3 days. Spent 2 days there. Woke up the next morning. Looked somewhere else. Now, once it almost bit me. There was once where I was like, where none of the English sites had anything. I was like, oh, where am I going to go? And I still get emails from this site. It was a Spanish only, like South American travel site. And I found a room on a island, and I went there. But I had a mantra for the trip, which was fortune favors the bold. And whenever I was struck with a decision, do I do A or B, I chose the bolder option. It changed things dramatically for me. There's nothing wrong with living boldly. And lastly, if you could go on a trip with all your friends to one heritage site for a day, which would you choose? Well, if I think about all of my friends, there's a lot of martial artists in there. So it's either Okinawa or the Shaolin Temple, or maybe the Kodokan, the home of judo in Japan. Or maybe somewhere up in the mountains, maybe Tibet. You know, I don't know how to answer that, because I don't. People have bucket lists, and there are things I want to do. Like, one of the things on my list, and I am, if COVID does not continue so far that it kills me from doing this, I will pet an elephant this year. I will go to likely Thailand, and I will pet an elephant. That was the best next bucket list item I could come up with after I came back from the Galapagos Islands. Elephants are cool. But I don't so much have things that I want to go and do and vacations. Like, that's not what my bucket list is. My bucket list is excuse me, what do I want to achieve? And it's not even, yeah, do I want, a bigger house and nicer cars? Like, that would all be nice, but it's whistlekick. It's the things that we're trying to do to better the martial arts. It's this is what gets me going. This is what's important to me. So, different kind of discussion today. I hope, as I'm talking about the things that are important to me, the things that get me fired up, you are thinking about things that fire you up. And I hope that you will put some time and some energy into whatever those things are today. I hope you will work towards your goals. I hope you will recognize that if you work hard enough, long enough, you can achieve anything. And don't let anybody tell you otherwise. Okay? Leave me some questions, some comments. Check out today's episode of Martial Arts Radio whenever it comes out. I'm not sure who's out today, but it'll be out. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you back here tomorrow. Take care, everybody. Peace.